Hi everybody, and welcome to this new episode of Good Night with Scooter Pie. I'm Scooter Pie, and I'll tell you a little bit about the fine folks that I interviewed a little while ago for this episode, and they are a married couple. Sean Gill is a writer and filmmaker who recently won the Michigan Quarterly Review's 2020 Lawrence Prize for fiction. And he's a columnist at Epiphany, a literary journal, and a regular contributor to McSweeney's Internet Tendency. You can follow his work at Sean Gill, that's SeanGill, films.com, because he also made a bunch of short films, which you can also find there. I can tell you all about that during the interview. Rachel Klein is a stage director and choreographer who is known for directing The Celebrity Roast of Michael Musto, presented by Rosie O'Donnell, and for directing and choreographing Red Roses, Green Gold, The Grateful Dead musical off-Broadway. Her upcoming projects include the 80s throwback rock and roll horror musical Girlfriend from Hell. Boy, that sounds incredible. And the upcoming sci-fi musical podcast series, The World to Come. For more information, go to Rachel Klein, that's RachelKlein, director.com. So without saying anything more, please enjoy my fun-filled interview with Rachel Klein and Sean Gill.
I've known you both now for about a decade of fabulousness. And between the two of you, you've had so many artistic achievements, Sean with filmmaking and now dominantly writing, and Rachel with your growing artistic career in stage directing and creating all kinds of beautiful and fabulous, and what's the word? I don't even know, a whole bunch of adjectives. Fierce, that's the word I'm looking for. Fierce theater all over New York City. So before quarantine happened, you two are both so busy I don't get to catch up with you much. Like, what projects had you each been working on?
I was developing a dance show, a very feminine forward piece for Dixon Place called Breaking Glass. That was going to open on May 1st. Obviously it didn't, but I'm trying to take that as a gift so that I can continue working on what the plot structure is going to be for when it eventually, hopefully, resurfaces again. And I was also been in development for a while for a new musical called The Suffragist, written by Kaven Hallman and Nancy Cobb, who are fabulous regional theater artists out in Cedar Falls, Iowa. And that it's about Alice Paul and Carrie Chapman Catt and Ida B. Wells, who were at the forefront of the women's suffrage movement when the amendment was passed, giving us the right to vote. And this is the centennial here in 2020. And the Carrie Chapman Catt Library is actually in Cedar Falls, Iowa. So very, very special indeed. And that, I think by the time this airs, the cat will be out of the bag. That is also, for obvious reasons, being postponed until next year. But again, the gift with that is that we have more time to develop the script and polish everything to make it ready for performance.
Excellent. And Sean, what were you working on before quarantine?
Well, I'd been working on some essays and starting a new novel, but my days were mostly occupied pre-quarantine with editing for television. I'd been working on the show Ink Master for its 13th season, and then I did a brief spell on The Real Housewives of Atlanta, which was an interesting experience. But the quarantine definitely put a pin in television production. So I've been focusing on my writing, and that's very easy to do in quarantine, for sure. I've been trying to treat it as if it's a very finite thing that could end at any time, so I'm going to try and take advantage of, I know there's obviously a lot of complexity surrounding when that will actually happen, but I've been trying to tackle each day as kind of like a free day to get writing done, and have the freedom to do so, I guess. I just finished a new essay last week. I've been working on it for a while and researching it. It's called 6 Authors in Search of a Character. And it's about 6 different authors. It's a very rare occurrence for an author to play one of their characters in a film. And 6 different authors who brought one of their own characters to life in a movie. And what we can glean from that about their personal obsessions, addictions, image control. All of the authors range from Stephen King and Creepshow to Jacqueline Suzanne and Valley of the Dolls to Richard Wright in the Native Son movie to Irvine Welsh in Trainspotting. Anyway, that's what I've been working on the last couple
Wow,
of weeks.
that sounds really interesting, and I look forward to getting to read that. So I heard that you recently had some stuff published in some cool places.
I've had a bit of a lucky streak. Just earlier this year, the University of Michigan awarded me their Lawrence Prize, which is for the best fiction piece of the entire year in the Michigan Quarterly Review. And I had a piece called Dignity and Urgency in Edinburgh and London. They published last fall in their issue about what does Europe want now. And they actually chose that as the prize winner for the year. So that was obviously pretty special. And then
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
He's such a genius, this guy.
And then I just got an acceptance from the Ernest Hemingway Society in Oak Park, Illinois. They're including one of my short stories in their yearly anthology of Hemingway adjacent work.
You know that what I do is very visual, very spectacle driven. So bringing it into the Zoom world has been an interesting way of dissecting the work differently, more intellectually. I'm working with several different musical theater writers on pieces that we are bringing forward eventually when the world comes back. So there have been a lot of Zoom readings, but they have not been publicized. They've been private so that the writers and I can then really hone in on what's going on with the characters and how the plots need to propel forward. So it's been a really interesting time of taking a step back from I'm just going to throw glitter on it. This needs a bunch of chorus dancers doing go-go shimmies, instead of, in a world without go-go shimmies, we have to really look at what's driving the plot from a narrative perspective. So I've had to hold that part of myself back. But that's okay. She'll be back, world. And then I'm also developing a podcast right now. I don't know when it will be ready because it's unlike many podcasts, which I'm going to be very honest, I'm not particularly familiar with the genre as a listener. But my understanding is that usually they're 1 or 2 people. They're pretty small and compact. I'm doing a epic Game of Thronesian post-apocalyptic future musical podcast. It's called The World to Come, and it is written by Eric Ransom, and Andy Peterson is the composer. They're 2 of my frequent collaborators in the musical theater world, geniuses. We've brought on Sean Gill as the kitsch consultant because vintage kitsch, specifically 80s vintage kitsch, is a very prevalent factor in this musical epic. And what's interesting about working in this realm is that what I normally do visually, how I would collaborate with a costume designer or a lighting designer, those kinds of conversations have really manifested themselves with the sound designers on the project to figure out how does it when somebody slaps somebody else in the face. Well, if that person has 2-inch nails, that's going to sound different because there's going to be an echo. You know, that kind of detail, like rolling up on a skateboard, but like the concrete's covered in sewage. Like, what is that? Is that like a lumpier sound? So we're getting into the nitty gritty and the specificity in that way to kind of take what is normally a feast for the eyes to make a feast for the rest of our senses, to sort of transport the potential audience there via only the audio format. So it should be interesting, but it's gonna be awesome. I'm really excited about it. It's so clever the way it's written.
That sounds so good. But Rachel, what is the sound of glitter being thrown?
You know, I don't know. That's a question for my good friend Sean Haggerty, my sound designer. I will work with him hours into the night to find what the sound of throwing glitter sounds like. And once we come up with it, Scootery will be the first to know. You will get the sneak peek.
And I also want to add, we are never in a world without go-go shimmies.
Thank you for providing the go-go shimmy.
Go-go shimmies still read through Zoom.
Fair.
So you mentioned in the pre-interview that you've both been able to do some exercising at home. What is your exercise routine like?
Well, it varies from day to day depending on how sore we are. For me, it's not just like we think that we can make our bodies invincible during a pandemic. We're not that naive, but there is something gratifying about knowing that we're making ourselves stronger and healthier in that regard. And for me, just being apartment bound, it's a great release of energy in a positive way.
Call it the Linda Hamilton and Terminator 2 effect.
Yes. That is what I hope to look like by the end of this. So it started out, I'll give them a shout out. So my bar studio that I went to in real life, back in the world that was, Shakti Bar, young women run business based out of Brooklyn, and then they had a second location open in Harlem. Amazing, awesome energy. And they did bar and yoga fitness, and I was really into it, and I was going 3 to 4 times a week, and they were really ahead of the curve. Like, when they knew that the shutdown was impending, they started doing all of their programming via Zoom, and so they did live stream classes. So I've still been keeping up with those 3 to 4 times a week. But then before, like, when their programming was new, you had to book the class 24 hours in advance, and I didn't know that. So I was like, oh, I gotta find something else. So I found on Pop Sugar. I don't know them personally, but I'll plug them anyway because I love their videos. It's just on YouTube, and you can find any kind of workout in the world. Like, I did a Bollywood hip hop workout, which was so much fun. I did some, like, I'll actually send you the link, Scooter. It's a throwback workout to 1980s aerobics, but done with slightly more contemporary moves. So much fun. So we've been sort of finding whatever speaks to us, and we've kind of found our instructors we prefer.
We also have an in-depth collection, of course, of Zsa Zsa Gabor workout video, the Fabio workout video, Sandy Duncan's 5-minute workout, which involves actually a lot of, like, facial exercises.
Oh, right, and the
like
hands.
jazz.
Jazz hands.
What's one of the facial exercises that she does?
Sean?
I think
you should take it. Oh, no, I think it should absolutely be you, babe. She does the whole, like, acting 101 exercise where you scrunch the face and then you open the face like you're in Buto. And that's, I guess it is like a tension relief for your third eye, but it's not really a workout, I would say. Same with Zsa Zsa Gabor. When she's doing her push-ups, where she's standing and she's leaning on, like, a beefcake dude, and she's just doing this. Oh, yes. If you don't have 2 gorgeous guys, you can use a gardener, a director, a pool man, or a husband. We've watched it so many times. But,
Lucky for you, you have a husband with you to lean on and do the push-ups, so you don't actually have to do them on the floor.
Like Zsa Zsa. Yeah.
Yes, you're just like Zsa Zsa Gabor.
Just like Zsa Zsa. Just like Zsa Zsa.
So, Sean, are you reading anything good right now, or is there a book you can recommend to our audience?
What's funny is I've been reading War and Peace. I understand actually a lot of people have been reading War and Peace during the quarantine.
I've considered it. I found a copy in my house.
I would actually recommend. I mean, War and Peace. It's excellent. Anna Karenina. I had just read previously, which is actually what inspired me to start War and Peace. I've been on kind of a Tolstoy kick. Anna Karenina, like, hands down one of the greatest novels in the canon. Like, legitimately lives up to the hype. I can't say for War and Peace precisely yet because I've only just started it. But Anna Karenina, something special there.
He's a hopeless romantic. Listen to this guy.
Well, fortunately, I know there's a copy of that also on my bookshelf, so I will get over my fear of a book that long and old, and I will give it a look. So thank you for that recommendation. So when you two aren't being creative geniuses or working out, you both know a lot about the enjoyment of cocktails and wines. So I thought that you might have one or two recommendations for especially good quarantine cocktails for those of us who are able to have them.
Well, Sean makes a killer frozen melon margarita, which is outstanding.
I have a soft spot for frozen margs, but my major complaint with them is that they're usually too sweet. So I have a super simple recipe that I use. I'll buy some honeydew melon from the grocery, freeze it, then stick frozen melon in the blender along with some extra ice, tequila, squeeze a lime, and then blend it. And it's extremely simple. It's not sickening sweet. It's very refreshing. Because there aren't additives, it starts to separate pretty quickly. So you have to drink it on the quicker side if you're bothered by separation.
Stir it if you want to savor it.
Or you can stir it.
And that's a great use for honeydew melon because honeydew melon on its own, not the most flavorful, but in a cocktail, I bet it is refreshing and delicious.
It needs the tequila to open it up.
There you go. And Rachel, you were a mixologist on the side for a number of years.
Well, it depends. On a warm day when you're apartment bound and you don't have a balcony or central air because you live in Brooklyn, one of the things that we have been doing as well is if you do just a simple vodka seltzer, and then you put a splash of fresh grapefruit juice in it with some mint sprigs. And, for those of you sober Sallies out there, you can do the exact same thing sans the vodka, and it's this refreshing, delicious drink. I would just recommend putting the mint in first and just giving it a slight little muddle. If you don't have a muddler, who cares? You can use a spoon, something to just kind of open up the aromatic nature of the mint leaves. And there you go. Kind of like being at the spa.
That sounds so spa-like.
Yes.
Thank you for those recipes. So I remember, I don't know how many years ago, but you two took on doing a rewatch of Cheers, which I feel like now a lot of people have done that, but it was before it was cool. So have you done any rewatches of any TV shows recently, end to end?
Funny that you ask. We just recently finished The Golden Girls.
Ooh.
Including...
Start to finish, including Golden Palace, the spin-off series that lasted one season afterward. And they lost B. Arthur at that point. B didn't want to do anymore. And they replaced B. Arthur with Don Cheadle and Cheech Marin.
So if you combine Don Cheadle and Cheech Marin, you get B. Arthur, apparently.
Unfortunately, you don't. Which is why it was just the one season. Like, to the point where B. Arthur was missed so severely by us, but also it was kind of like when Diane left Cheers and they kept throwing shade at Diane's character. There was a lot of that on Golden Palace. There was many jokes at an unseen Dorothy's expense.
Yeah. There's
How
also
rude. So Sophia was even there at the Golden Palace?
yeah.
Well,
Oh, interesting.
it does make dramaturgical sense. I don't want to spoil
You can-
the
you
Golden
can
Girls
spoil it.
finale.
Well, I know that. I mean, I've seen it. I know that Dorothy gets married at the end. We all know that.
Oh, okay. Whoa. So Scooter just took that leap. If you guys haven't seen the Golden Girls in its entirety, then what are you doing watching?
Exactly. None of my viewers have not seen all of Golden Girls at least once.
And there's,
So, but that a lot of people probably are rewatching Golden Girls, but that is true commitment for me too. That you took it as far as Golden Palace. So I commend you for that level of Golden Girls fandom.
Oh, thank you, Scooter. Yes. For
So,
being-
toward the end, I'm gonna ask you more about like your personal works. But so, I'm lucky because I often get to spend Thanksgiving with you two and some of our other New York fabulous friends. And as of late in recent years, you two have found your psychic abilities via doing 80s and 90s trading card tarot readings. And since I didn't get to be there at Thanksgiving this past year, I think like it would be great if you could pull a card or two for me and tell me what my future holds.
Well, we do have the deck available, but the question for you, Scootsy, is do you want to go 80s, 90s, or 70s and before?
I think based on the way I'm dressed, we should go 80s.
Glorious. I think that is thematic. So Mystic Sean here is getting the deck of 80s tarot trading cards.
I did recently find a journal entry from, I think it might have been the first time you guys did it, and I got a garbage pail kid called Choo Choo Trina. It was like especially poignant to my life. Choo Choo Trina, she's a survivor.
She
Sure.
is. All those nasty kids just spray painted on her, but she was like, you know what? I don't care because I am fabulous.
Okay, so we can do a quick read for you, Scoots. You are going to first, because you can't cut it yourself, you're going to infuse the deck with your energy.
Okay,
Yeah.
infused.
So now we're going to cut the deck.
Now, I counted out based on the year. There's 4 pulls, and so we go 1, 2, 0, 4. We're doing 2020.
2020.
1, 2.
Oh my gosh, you have to count. Great.
All right. These are some interesting pulls you've made here.
Oh, wait, here, babe, take them off the computer so that I can tilt the computer to show Scooter's viewers
I can-
what her reading
I can
is.
hold them up one at a time.
Oh, that.
So your past card you pulled was Angela Lansbury. Your present card is a little dangerous. Freddie for president. Freddie Krueger running for president.
I think that's a little on the smooth era, if you will.
Yes.
Your future card is Betty White.
Oh my god. We were just talking about her.
And your keystone card is, curiously enough, Hall & Oates.
What does it mean?
Well, I mean, I think in the quickest possible terms.
Yes, Mystic Sean, don't sell yourself short. I think you need to be really thorough with this reading.
I think you can jump in at any point as well. We got this Angela Lansbury past. I think speaks to a certain a classic Hollywood style that kind of evolved and grew. Like when she first started in Hollywood, I feel like Angela didn't quite know her place in terms of she got cast in like evil maid roles and a lot of villains. Not a lot of ingenues, which she complained later in her life that like I was never a great beauty, which is a lie.
It was a lie. She was a great beauty. She says that while naked in a bubble bath in her workout tape, which we neglected to mention that we have.
But I see the Angela Lansbury pass card as a kind of like a past full of innovation and of evolution to a better place. But the rug gets pulled out by the present.
Oh, wait, may I just add? She's a fierce, sexy ginger, right? Scooter. I'm just saying the obvious, Sean.
It's true.
Yeah.
So you think you're cruising along on Easy Street with Angela Lansbury when you run into the present, which is full of, I think the Freddie for President nature speaks to kind of how terrifying a year 2020 is for a number of reasons.
Uh-huh.
The national level of this card also.
Yeah, that
something is affecting the entire nation and the entire world right now. It's almost universal as dreams.
for those
nightmares.
of you who don't remember Freddy Krueger's backstory, he was a child murderer, and that's why the townspeople killed him. So I'm just saying, Freddy for president seems to be speaking
Pretty upsetting.
It doesn't say he wins president. It just says there he is now. That's all it says.
But clearly we get over that because the Betty White future
Such a great
is
future.
definitely a relief. And she's a ginge in this picture.
She's fiery ginger. Like Choo Choo Trina, Betty White is a survivor. She is. She does. It's full circle.
I mean, to be bookended by such longevity, I think is key.
Oh God, yeah. And they're both icons. To just be iconic for all of your life, Scooter.
And
I love this reading.
The constant reinventions from Mary Tyler Moore to the Golden Girls to this Hot in Cleveland now. I think this speaks to you're going to need to reinvent after this moment, but you're going to have an easy time of it.
Oh yeah, it's gonna look good.
Thanks, guys. That was
wait.
a wonderful reading. Now I feel much more clear about my future and my present.
Still have the Cornerstone card, which
Oh,
I'm not sure
what does that mean?
Mystic Sean is gonna tell you.
This just informs all the other cards in the path of history. I mean, we could think about their greatest hits. There's Maneater. There's Private Eyes. Kiss is on my list. I think it speaks to a certain cohesion, the cohesion of Hall & Oates, and the cohesion of you and your goals. I don't know.
When it comes to Hall & Oates, I feel Sean has the final word.
I might be wrong, but I feel like Hall & Oates might be from Philadelphia.
They are.
So I guess they show that that's where I am right now.
That's true.
So maybe it has something to do with maybe this is where I should stay. Who knows?
I think
Thank you for that.
your music is very smooth as well. And I feel like it's just showing fluidity within your from fierce ginger to fierce ginger on either side of that.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys. So, you two, well, Rachel, you were a guest on my show a number of times before, and you both were guests on my show for my special Valentine's Day edition. This was back when it was live and in person in Brooklyn, and it was like, what couple knows each other best? And we had, at the time, a married couple, a dating couple, which is you guys, because it was in the past, and a mother and daughter. And you guys beat the hell out of everyone. So now that you've been married a couple years, I'm going to see, I mean, you don't have anyone to compete with, but let's see how, I'm just going to ask you a few of these questions. And I mean, I'm pretty sure you're going to know what each other is going to answer, but let's just see. So get out your paper and pens that we have put aside before. And the first one is, for the other person, who was their childhood celebrity crush? If the other person could hang out with any cartoon character, which one would it be? The next one is, if the other person could have an unlimited supply of a household item, like not counting money, What would it be? Last one is back to celebrities. What celebrity is the other person told that they look like by other people? Now, question number 1. Childhood celebrity crush.
Rachel's was probably Billy Idol.
It's totally Billy Idol, and he knows that, because I may have mentioned it every time I make him watch the Dancing with Myself music video.
Okay, Rachel, who was Sean's childhood celebrity crush?
As a teenager, it was Ozia Argento, but
Nice.
as an actual child, why am I spacing? I love this actress. I'm spacing on her name, but Indiana Jones's girlfriend. Karen Allen. Yes, Karen Allen.
Is that correct?
I would say Karen Allen, Carrie Fisher too. Like I had that basic nerddom.
Oh, you man slut. You just like them all, don't you? Get those fire brunettes.
It's true.
Okay, next question. Sean, who, for Rachel, what cartoon character would she want to hang out with?
I said Daria.
What's your answer, Rachel?
It would be Daria, but also Jane and Jane's brother Trent.
Nice. All right, Rachel, same question for Sean.
Okay, I went a little abstract here. I also was staying in the Mike Judge universe, and I went Boomhauer. Because I don't care what you say, you would love to hang out with that guy, at least for a little while.
That's true. That's not what would have jumped to mind. In fact, I was having a hard time thinking of like a cartoon character that I would want to hang out with. Maybe like Princess Caroline.
Oh, from BoJack. Yeah, she would be cool.
But Boomhauer, I would definitely want to have a beer with.
Yeah, you just love like weird characters like that.
Okay, next question. The unlimited supply of a household item. Sean, what do you think Rachel's would be?
I said wine.
Correct.
Partly because that's been like getting wine has been one of the Sisyphusian tasks of this quarantine.
Yeah, like you have to wash every bottle as soon as it's a whole drama bringing anything. But we do it anyway.
And Rachel, what household object would Sean want unlimited amounts of?
Beef jerky.
This is another quarantine related thing. Beef jerky has always been one of my vices, but I think perhaps especially so in quarantine.
Every day, like multiple times a day.
I would agree with that.
He like
not multiple times.
Yes, if he could inject it into his body, like he loved the beef jerky.
Isn't it? It's interesting to see in these days like what things we really can't live without. Like for me, if I get down to like one can of seltzer and it's like the day before we're going to the store, I get stressed out. So yeah. And final question: So Sean, what celebrity does people say Rachel looks like?
I put Elvira.
Yeah. I mean, in image, anyway.
Nice.
And I put for Sean, just based on what he gets, people stopping him on the street, is Christian Slater and Keanu Reeves.
I do get both of those a lot. My favorite was just before the quarantine began. There was a group of kids down on the street corner, and I was coming out of the bodega, and they were like, "It's John Wick! Look, it's John Wick!" And I couldn't tell if they were joking, like they thought I looked like Keanu Reeves as John Wick, or if they thought I actually was Keanu Reeves, because then they called over their friends and they took photos with me. I posed for like 3 photos, and I'm like, that is kind of weird if they just thought I happened to look like Keanu Reeves.
I don't know, kids are bored. But
Kids are bored. They're even more bored.
It can be enough to meet someone who looks like John Wick. Could be enough. Or maybe they want to trick other people. Well, it sounds like you two still know each other pretty darn well. Thank you for playing Know Your Partner.
Yeah.
Now is the time when you get get to plug your things. That sounded dirty, but I didn't mean like that. You get to promote your work. So, Rachel, do you know anything about when this podcast is going to come out?
I don't. We are working out the logistics of if we're still in quarantine, recording, because recording simple voiceover and then mixing it in a studio is different than doing the musical component with the singers and the musicians. So we're trying to troubleshoot that. But on Thursday, we're doing a Zoom reading of episodes 5 through 8. So, and we'll have one more chunk of episodes written after that. We believe the first season is going to be 12 episodes. Hopefully in a couple of months. I'll let you know as soon as she's ready to go into the world. Very, very excited about it.
Fantastic. And is there, Rachel, a place online where there's like recording of any like pieces of your past work that people can see?
My website, which is rachelkleindirector.com, and that's Klein, Klein.
I will put that across the screen.
Yeah, girl.
Awesome. And Sean, where can we find your work?
I have 3 pieces coming up in the near future. The first is the aforementioned Hemingway Society thing, and that's a piece about an alcoholic mom taking her son and his son's best friend to a Six Flags style amusement park. And it's called Mrs. Ives at the Shooting Gallery. Then I have another one coming up in June in Gargoyle magazine called The Fixed Umbrella. It's a short story about someone who finds that an umbrella stuck into a sewer grate seems to have more stability in their life than she does. And then the third one, which is coming out in the fall in the 3-penny Review, is a short essay about the time I spent working in the financial district in TV, but working in the financial district and kind of observing the psychic wounds of the neighborhood and kind of the abnormalities therein, I guess. And then my website is, I made it back when I was primarily a filmmaker, so it's SeanGillFilms.com. So you can find stuff there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being with me on what's it called? Good Night with Scooter Pie.